Hi, today I want to talk to you about grieving. Is this something that you feel okay doing? I've noticed when I talk to a lot of people that they have a lot of inbuilt sadness, and the sadness is there, and they will openly explain to me that there's been a loss, whether that's a parent, a child, a good friend, a pet even. They they can tell me what's happened, and yet when I ask them if they've grieved, have they allowed themselves to cry? Have they allowed themselves to be angry? Have they allowed themselves to be sad and sit in that? The response is no, they haven't. And it's an interesting space to be in, this space of not wanting to be in touch with our emotions and our real feelings. And I looked today at what it might be that has me sit in this place of not wanting to grieve. And what I noticed was that the whole idea of crying seems like something I couldn't go near because I was scared that once I started, I couldn't stop. I found it hard to understand my anger, especially when we're talking about a death, something that's just happened. And yet it was also okay to express the anger and be angry at the time. I also believed that crying wasn't going to get me anywhere, and that's a familiar story from my childhood. And telling myself then that I had to stop crying, so I shut down my own crying. I also was very aware that other people weren't comfortable when I expressed my grief. And so my story then is that I didn't want to upset them. And so I held on to my own grief. Being overwhelmed by the depth of the emotion and the feeling was something that was there, present all the time for me during my own grief experience. And then there was this sadness, the belief that I might have grieved and I was probably still going to feel sad, and I didn't want to feel sad. And yet what I've noticed is that there is this sadness that lies deep within all of us, and I'm talking about deep within all of us because we haven't allowed ourselves to get in touch with the emotions that we're feeling in this place or space that's called grief. And they're all okay, they're all valid emotions, they're all okay for us to have them, and interestingly enough, they're all created from the story that we have of the loss that's occurred in this situation. This is something we can talk more about. And how much sadness, how much grief have you not expressed? How do you feel that? And where do you notice that you hold that in your body? Because my guess is that you do. We all do. And it's about noticing that it's there and being open to meeting it. I can tell you now that the best thing that we can do is to meet it. I've met it, come through that deep, deep space of grief, the deep, deep space of sadness, and now find that there's only a little bit of sadness sitting inside me, and that's okay. I meet that each time that it arises too. And so it's okay. You will survive the grief. You will survive the sadness if you give it a chance.